Okay, this Rabbi says gewaldige sugya, and I want to leave off this man with this gewaldige sugya. It goes like this. The Gemara in Baba Kama tells us, and we know this, that if a person is a mazik, if a person damages somebody else, he's chayiv to pay. That's how it works, right? That's always how it is, right? I damage someone, I have to pay. I'm a mazik, I have to pay someone. That's how it is. That's the Metzias. Question of the Gemara. What if I do a groma? What if I didn't damage be a daim mamish, but I caused someone to become damaged? In other words, I caused the damage to happen. A groma, right? What then does that have? Okay, Shagat the Gemara. You have to pay, don't have to pay. Dina de Shemayim, whatever. Chazal tell us, Yonis ben Azil, the Gemara says, when he was learning, he learned with such intensity, with such a slavus, that there were birds on top that would fly over him and would get burned up by the fire of his learning over there. I don't know if I should say this. What's the difference between the way the Chassidim learn that Gemara and the Litvaks learn that Gemara? It's the famous Zach, right? The Chassidim learn the Gemara, Zabren, we're learning it's like a shmak. A Litvak will say, Shai says, you have to pay on the bird that he killed. That's the Shaila. However you learn, that's the Shaila I want to discuss. There are two ways of thinking. When something happens in a physical way, Dinei Torah. I break something, I break a glass, I break a window, I break somebody's tire, their window mirror, whatever it is, I'm chayav to pay. That's how it works, right? What if I break something in a supernatural way? What if I break something in a magical way? I figured out how this ball should lift, smash the window, and it smashed it. Do I have to pay? Or do I not have to pay? That's the shaila. So either we could say like this. When I daven, is that me? Or is that the Rabbeinu Shloim? Meaning, if I daven something to happen and it happens, is that me that did it? Well, it's not me. I just asked for it. The Rabbeinu Shloim granted my request. Nafkamina is going to be this shaila. So the Rabbi said there's a murdic letter from the Stipler. The Stipler has a letter in Kilasaka, Baba Kama Simon Memhei. Unbelievable. You've got to follow this through. It's amazing. Mazik besgulas he talks about. When a person is mazik, someone with a zgula, right? Doing something in a non-natural, supernatural way. For example, he talks about what happens. A person bites his nails or cuts his nails, whatever, puts it on the floor. Hazal tell us you shouldn't do that for many reasons. But one of them is a pregnant woman may walk over it and she may have a miscarriage. So the question over here is, what happens for the Stipler if I did it and a woman walked over, she had a miscarriage? Do I have to pay Vladis? Right, the Gemara talks about Vladis in various cases, right? A person punches a woman, she loses the baby. You have to pay or not? So the question is over here, I put a nail on the floor, she walked over it, she had a miscarriage. Do I have to pay Vladis or do we not? So the Stipler says like this. You're not going to know if it was because of your nail that she had a miscarriage, or Stamazo she was going to have a miscarriage. You don't know. It's a theoretical question the Stipler is asking. If a person wants to do tshuva, I want to do tshuva. I want to be yotza all fakers. I want to do tshuva. Am I responsible for this, or not? Is there a chiyuv or not? So there's someone who asked the Stipler this kasha. Again, you can follow the tshuva then, it's beautiful. The shoyl says to the Stipler, absolutely no chiyuv. Why? Because the Torah is talking about things in the physical world. When you do something in a supernatural way, there's no chiyuv. There's no dinei Torah by scholars. It doesn't work. I would love to. Do you mind? Thank you. Just because otherwise I'm not going to get there and chaval. So that's what the shoyl says. This type says mechatesa. Mechatesa. Who told you? Maybe you do have to pay. Meaning, if you figured out that it was you that you got the miscarriage to happen, it was machmas your nail. How do you know? Where's your raya that you don't have to pay in that case? Where's your raya? Maybe you would have to pay. So the shoyl says back to the Stipler to understand. Let's say, for example, I caused an Ayin Hora on someone. Right? Ayin Hora is called by somebody else, right? So somebody looked at someone else in a jealous way, whatever it is, and he made an Ayin Hora. So because of that, that guy broke his leg, chas v'shalom. Or whatever it is that happened to him, right? He missed his flight, whatever, because I was so jealous of him going on a vacation. Boom, he got an Ayin Hora, he missed his flight. Kenzan. What's the case in that case? So what, you have to pay for the damages? It's the now back on new flights. Because of you, right? Because you gave him an Ayin Hora, the mainly you have to pay. The Stipler says, I don't know, who says you don't? Where's your raya that you don't have to pay in that case? At the end of the day, Pashtus, the Stipler seems to say that you would have to pay. Again, are we able to, Vade know that it was you, then you should be able to pay. The shoyl has a raya that no dinei Torah apply to non-physical things. He says, what happens if a person kills someone with a shame? Shem Hashem, he knows how to say some names, and he says Shem Hashem, Moshe Rabbeinu knew, he killed the Mitzri in Mitzrayim, no? So he did in that case. So the Shoyal says, I saw in the Sefer Hilchos Ktanos that if you kill someone with a shame, you're a Ritzeach. So in that case, who said the Hora doesn't apply when it comes to physical things? Stipler says, maybe not. Where's the raya? It's not a good raya. So the Shoyal, by the way, the Shoyal, we'll take questions after. The Shoyal in the Stipler is anonymous. We don't know who he is. But who else holds this way? Rav Shlomo Kluger. Rav Shlomo Kluger writes that Dinei Torah only apply in this world. Something that's skula, then Dinei Torah do not apply. There's a Mordek Marsham, Rabbi say. We spoke about it once before in Sheh. I promised to Olam Bli Neder that we're going to talk about it, so we're talking about it. The Marshama Zitshuva, he was asked, and this is why you asked him why am I doing this now, this is why I'm doing it now. He was asked about a Choyle Sheyesh Boi Sakona. A Choyle Sheyesh Boi Sakona, it was Shabbos Kodesh. They wanted to carry Malacha Doraisa, a letter to a tzaddik, to ask the tzaddik to daven for the Choyle Sheyesh Boi Sakona. Malacha Doraisa. Okay, out of the tchum, on a carriage, a telegraph, whatever it was that they had to do, they wanted the gadol to daven. Zuk the Marsham. I remember as a child, this kasha came up. There was a Belzer Chassid in Europe, and he was sick. And the Rebbe at the time was in Brot for Shabbos. The Chassid said, I'm going to send a note to my Rebbe, tell him that I'm sick, he's going to be poil in Shemayim Alis, and I'm going to have a fish labor. The Rav at the time was materit. Through a goy, take the letter, on off you go, write it down, take the letter, and go and bring it to the Belzer Rebbe to daven for him. The Rav of Brot was Rav Shlomo Kluger. Okay? Rav Shlomo Kluger heard about this, went meshiga. He went crazy. Chilul Shabbos for a fuah to tell a tzaddik to daven for you is a Issa Gomor. He got up and he announced it's a mistake to Machal Shabbos, and he wrote a letter to the Rav who was materit, starke letter. Now, that letter is not printed in the Marsham. But if you look in the Tzitz Eliezer, Chelik Ches, Simon Aleph, Ois Ches, he brings the letter. And the letter says, Azoi, very quick, so I'm going to give it very quick because we're late. I cannot remain silent for this Chil Shabbos. It's a fire burning inside me. This is the wrong psak. If this Rav retracts from the psak and announces he's wrong in public, okay. But if he doesn't, every psak that he ever gave is wrong, is tomei, is treif, chatichanaf and vela. Don't be soimach on anything he says. I will not be silent. I will not go to sleep until I'm a person. This is in the whole city. By the way, this is not a literature Hasidic flight. The Belzer Rebbe was masking Tim. The Belzer Rebbe was masking that it was a mistake to Machal Shabbos for this. You know Machal Shabbos for Zgula, huh? Why is this how the tefillahs work? That's I don't know. You have to ask tzaddikim for these things. But you see from here, we'll do after, no problem. I just want to get to the end because I feel bad for the olam. Rav Shlomo Kluger clearly seems to be saying that Dinei Torah only apply to the physical world. The Stipler says no. Dinei Torah apply even to the non-physical world. Why? Because Chazal tell us that it works. I mean, if it works, I have to believe it, never believe it, never if it's true. And here's a raya for Rav Shlomo Kluger against what the Stipler was saying. There's a rush in Arvei Psochim. The Rosh in Arvei Psochim asks, we say on Shabbos afternoon by Mincha, we say Tzidchoscha. What's Tzidchoscha? Zuk the Rosh. Why? Moshe Rabbeinu davened on Shabbos afternoon. Tziduk Adin for Moshe Rabbeinu. Frag the Rosh. I don't understand. But the Gemara also says that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote 13 Sifrei Torah on the day that he died. If the day that he died is Shabbos Kodesh, how do you write 13 Sifrei Torah? What's going on? So the Shloah Kodesh brings, the Stipler brings this by the some Sofer Chelivav Simchav Tes also. The Shloah Kodesh says you can't write 13 Sifrei Torah on a Tuesday. Never mind the Shabbos. Elamai. So the Shloah Kodesh, he did it. Moshe Rabbeinu did it. Alidei Hashbos Kumasin. He made the pens swear. Right. That's what the Shloah Kodesh explains. Avad Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do it. Al Pi Kabbalah, there was a way of making the pens right. There was no Malacha B'chlal. Jay the Litvak wants to know if it was a kosher Sefer Torah if you do it that way. I don't know. But I'll upon him. Zug the Stipler. Moshe Rabbeinu was over Chil Shabbos. Avad nicht. No way. Elamai must be that Moshe Rabbeinu held that by doing something in a supernatural way, there's no issue of Chil Shabbos. There's no problem whatsoever. Zug the Stipler. We'll end with this. No. There's two types of deraises, and this is that we could go on for hours. It's moedik. You look up the Marmar Kermas, I gave it to you before this type, it's amazing. So the type, no, there are two types. There's one where the Issa is the result, not the doing it. For example, when you kill someone, The issue of killing him is not be'etzem, the pu'ula of killing him. It's the toitzah that he's now dead. The issue of mazik someone is not be'etzem, leave out the musa, halachically, of being mazik. It's the toitzah, it's the result that it has been damaged. Mimele, now I have to pay. On that, the Stipler says, over there, I say it's only also to do something in a supernatural way if the result is issa, like killing, like being mazik. Masha'en kain, if the issa is the maisa of the act itself, like for example, ksiva on Shabbos Kodesh, it's not the toitzah, it's not the pshat, the Torah asked you right having a Sefer Torah written, it's the ksiva, it's the maisa that you're doing. If the act is a malacha, then the Stipler says I maskim, and there's no problem being done in a supernatural way, because that's like a klachayat, has no shaykhs to malacha. Maybe that's the reason to mechalik between the two cases. I want to leave everybody now. Be'ez Hashem, Shav Gavaldiga, Be'ez Hashem, Gavaldiga Chodesh. We hope the Sheikh is coming, and we're all going to be here together in Yerushalayim. We'll be together with the olim of the koilel dancing in front of the Bayis Shlishi. V'mheva Ameinu Amen. Have a modige ben zmanim, starke ben zmanim, du chazara. And Be'ez Hashem, looking forward to seeing everyone during Elul. Be'ez Hashem.